Okay, and there we go. We are starting lesson 17, and today's topic is going to be weather. We're going to be talking about weather. It is the 1st of September, so the summer has finished, and now the weather is going to be a bit different. So let's talk a bit about that. The first word is to be below freezing, and this is whenever you're talking about any kind of temperature that is lower than 0 degrees Celsius. Freezing means like the water, the freezing of water. So whenever water freezes, we have a specific word for that. Below 0 Celsius is below freezing. Next is bitterly cold. Now, the word bitter actually comes from like food. It's a type of taste. Like, for example, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is bitter. It's like sweet, but it's not actually sweet. It's a different kind of flavor. Bitter is actually one of like the 7 main flavors. And bitterly cold means like it's so cold that it hurts, basically. Yeah. Next is a blanket of snow. So a blanket is like something that you sleep with, right? It's like some cover for you. Whenever you're sleeping, it like covers your body. And a blanket of snow is basically like, if you imagine it, it's like a cover for the whole world, or for the place where there's snow, right? It's like there's snow covering everything, so that's called a blanket of snow. So yeah, blanket of snow is a complete covering of snow. Next is boiling hot. So boiling hot and below freezing are both kind of similar because they have to do with water. We use water to describe like different kinds of temperatures in English, which I think is kind of funny. Boiling is like the process of the water going when it's like really hot, the water, so that's called boiling hot, and it's a good collocation. Next is a change in the weather. So change in the weather is when the weather changes. Simple. That's how you use this word. Let me use all these words in a sentence. Last week in Tashkent, it was below freezing. It was bitterly cold, and there was a blanket of snow. But now, with the change happening in the weather, I think that it will be boiling hot once again with clear blue skies. I feel like I just gave a weather forecast, but like the opposite of a weather forecast. But yes, clear blue skies is something like in Uzbekistan. Often you look up in the sky and there's no clouds. That's because the skies are clear blue. So clear blue sky is like a sky without any clouds. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Next is to clear up. To clear up is talking about like also weather. I mean, all these words are to do with weather. Weather. All these words are to do with weather, and specifically this one, to clear up, means whenever you have like rain, right, there's a lot of clouds always, and that rain, whenever that rain is leaving, and whenever those clouds are leaving, the skies clear up, and you can use these. You can use this. Oh my god, bruh. I have been on the wrong microphone this whole time. That's why. Okay, give me one moment. That is very sad. Okay, finally it's working. Cool. Unfortunate, but understandable. Okay. If you can hear me, please raise your hand in the chat right now. If you can hear me, raise your hand in the chat. Okay, looks good. All right, cool. Thank you. Sorry, microphone moment. Hopefully it was still sounding okay. I think it was on like my camera microphone, so that's good, but unfortunate. Okay, let's continue. Next is to come out. So come out is a verb that we use to talk about the sun, and it's like when there's a lot of rain or a lot of snow, and like the sky is not. There's no sun in the sky. And the sun comes out. We say come out, basically. Yeah. Come out of where? We don't know, but come out of somewhere. Next is a cold spell. And this is basically like kind of an old phrase, and it's used to talk about a period of time when there's a lot of cold. It's kind of like in Uzbek, you have like chilla. So it's the same, except it's about the cold. It's like a cold spell. It's like some time where there's really, really cold weather. Next is to dress up warm. And this one is also kind of connected with fashion. This is basically clothes that are warm. They protect you against the cold weather. And I just recommend you to use this. Let me use all these in a sentence. You should dress up warm today. There's a cold spell, and we don't know when the sun is going to come out. Simple, easy. Let's continue. A drop of rain. A drop of rain is what we use to describe like one piece of rain. This is not like a little bit of rain. This is specifically one piece of rain, like like pew, like one drop. That's Another word is droplet. I'm gonna write that down. Beep, 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 boop, beep, beep, beep. Droplet. Perfect. Let's keep going. Flash flood. Flash flood is what we use to describe a flood that happens very quickly and usually a very, very strong flood. For example, an example of this would be like, in Vietnam, or I think in Japan, very often there's a lot of flash floods. Generally, countries that are close to the sea, whenever the sea levels rise, they get floods and very severe flooding. Yeah. Freezing cold. Very cold. Beep, 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 beep. To be caught in the rain. To be caught in the rain is like when you're outside and it starts raining and you didn't think it was going to rain. You can say, oh no, I got caught in the rain. That's so sad. That's what that's used for. These words are all quite simple. I'm having a little bit of difficulty like explaining them in a more interesting way because it's just these are the verbs that you use with these nouns, just so you know, if you're like interested, right? So if you are outside when it's raining, you say you got caught in the rain. If you want to put on warm clothes, you say dress up warm. When the sun comes out, we call it come out. So all these verbs are quite simple to understand, but these are the verbs that we use, just so you know, like the collocations. Let's continue. Heat stroke. Heat stroke and heat wave are very similar. Sorry, they're not actually similar at all. I lied to you. Heat stroke is a medical condition. So whenever you're out in the sun for too long and like the sun heats your head and then your head starts like boiling, that's called a heat stroke, and you can die from that. It's like you fall over and stuff like that. It's a serious medical condition. Whereas a heat wave is kind of like a cold spell, but the opposite. It's like when there's a lot of very hot weather. Yeah. Next is heavy rain. We use heavy to describe rain. Yeah. Mild climate and mild winter. Mild as a whole, the word mild, which is an adjective, it means like not strong. So for example, mild spicy is like a type of spicy food that's not very hot. Or mild correction is like a mistake that was not too big and they corrected it without too much like explanation, like a mild mistake. Or a mild case of COVID means like not very strong COVID. Let's move on. To get drenched. Drenched means to get very, very wet, like really wet, like the whole body, like everything, all your clothes. Drenched basically means completely wet. Let me use a couple of these. Let me give you an example sentence using a couple of these words. I got caught in the rain last week and I got absolutely drenched because there was very heavy rain in my area. I thought that there was not a cloud in the sky, but when it started pouring down, I understood that torrential rain had started. Torrential rain is an adjective that means torrential just means like very strong. Comes from the word torrent, which means a very strong current, a very large amount of something, basically. So torrential rain is like very heavy rain, and to pour means like like for example water, like from a bottle into a cup, like pour. So pouring rain is like instead of dropping, it's like start pouring down. Not a cloud in the sky is a synonym of cloudy sky. Clear blue sky, it means there's no clouds. Yeah, this is idiomatic language, by the way, which you should be using. Thick fog is a lot of fog. It's very difficult to see when there's thick fog. And lastly is tropical storm. This is a type of like tornado or something like that, which where there's like a lot of torrential rain, basically. Yeah. Let me use some more of these words. Last week it was freezing cold, but this week a heat wave started that was so strong, I think I'm going to get a heat stroke. I was driving yesterday and there was this thick fog. There was actually not a cloud in the sky, but I couldn't see where I was going because of the dense fog. And lastly is lastly is a tropical storm was coming to China, and I was going to go outside because that day there was not a single drop of rain. But as soon as I came outside, actually, there was a flash flood, and I got drenched. Simple, easy. So just some example sentences. Let's do some pronunciation. Let's do each word one time. Let's get to it. Okay. To be below freezing. Bitterly cold. A blanket of snow. Boiling hot. A change in the weather. Clear blue skies. To clear up. To come out. Let's actually change that. The sun came out. So let's say that together. The sun came out. A cold spell. To dress up warm. A drop of rain. A droplet. A flash flood. To get caught in the rain. To get drenched. Heat stroke. Heat wave. Heavy rain. Mild climate. Mild winter. Not a cloud in the sky. To pour down. Thick fog. Torrential rain. Let's say that again. Torrential rain. This is pronounced as shol. Tropical storm. All right, cool. So let's get to it. If you guys have some questions on the topic of weather, part 1 and part 3 questions, please find them right now. Look at them. Look them up. You can find them on the internet. Open them if you have the app, whatever you want to do. Questions on the topic of weather, and I will be answering them right now. Okay. I'm going to give you like 10 seconds to find all of your vocabulary. Sorry, all the questions. All right. And so everybody, so I hope you guys have some questions. Layana, part 1 or part 3, please say hi if you can hear me.
Hello.
Hi.
It's part 3.
Okay.
Do you think the weather affects how people feel?
Yes, I think that weather and emotions are intrinsically connected. I feel like ever since childhood, we are really indoctrinated to believe that a day where there's clear blue skies is much more fun than a day when there's like a blanket of snow and it's below freezing. I really do believe that you can have fun whether you dress up warm or whether you go outside and there's not a cloud in the sky. But I think that different people are just affected differently. So some people like rainy and cold weather, and some people like warm, sunny weather. Yeah. Thank you for your question, Layana. Let's move on. Somebody with part 1 or part 3 question. Sardor Turganov. Please say hi if you can hear me. Mr. Sardor Turganov, hello. Okay, next person is going to be Zarshed Daniev. Please say hi if you can hear me.
Hi.
Yo, do you have a part 1 or part 3?
I think it's part 1.
Do it.
Can you tell me the weather in the USA?
Yes, I can. The US is one of the biggest countries in the world. And because of that, it's less of one connected country and more 50 different small countries. And because of that, every single country has a very different climate. For example, somewhere like Texas is going to be incredibly hot. It's going to be scorching hot, and the sun is going to be out 24/7. Whereas countries closer north, for example, New York, are usually going to have weather that's a bit colder. Some cities remain below freezing. For example, Alaska, year round. Yeah, thank you for the question. That's a part 3 question, but yeah, not bad.
Hi, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, what's up, Sardar? Do you have a part 1 or part 3 question?
Part 3 question. And it's an
Do it.
interesting question. Are you ready? Okay. Would you like to live in a place where the climate never changes?
That is indeed a very interesting question. I am a very flip-floppy kind of person. I go from one mood to another. I go from one hobby to another. And so because of that, whenever somebody asks me a question that asks me to like solidify myself, for example, a question like, do you like summer or winter more? These kinds of questions cause me a lot of stress because I don't really know. I don't have a specific preference in terms of all of these things. And so I think that for me, it would be very difficult to live in a place where the climate is consistently the same. In general, living in Uzbekistan, for example, can be kind of difficult because most of the time, even when it's cold, it's still somewhat warm. If the weather was like England, for example, where the weather is always terrible, there's never any sun, there's always clouds, and it's always sad and upsetting, I would probably hate it even more than sunny Uzbekistan, which is always doused by massive amounts of sunlight. But in general, I think no, I would not enjoy it. I don't think that I would like to live in a place where the weather is always the same. Thank you for the question. Good question. It sounds like a part 1 question, but it's more of a part 3 question. So yeah, thank you, Sardar. Okay, and last question. Please make this a part 1 question. Dilshad Namazov, please say hi if you can hear me. I have unmuted you. Dilshad Namazov.
Hi, how are you?
Yo. Okay, do you have a part 1 question?
Yeah, this is part 1 question, and the answer is, do you think that the weather affects people's mood?
Is it just me, or did I already answer that question? Raise your hand in the chat if I already answered that question. Did I already answer that question? I feel like I already had that same question. Can you ask me a different question, please?
Yes.
Part 1.
Does air pollution affect the weather?
Okay, yeah. I think that indeed weather is a I think that indeed weather pollution what? I'm tired. Sorry, let me start again. Indeed, I think that environmental pollution is a very impactful factor that should be considered whenever you look at weather changes. Especially one way that we can monitor this is to monitor the different kinds of indexes of global warming, which is one of the biggest types of weather change that is connected to environmental pollution. So I think in general, yeah, environmental pollution is 100% connected to weather changes. Yeah. Thank you so much. That also sounds a bit like a part 3 question, but it's fine. Anyway, yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's move on. Hopefully you guys got some of the answers that I gave. Let's move on to today's topic, and then I'll be giving you feedback afterwards. So today's topic is going to be clauses and compound sentences. Clauses, like Santa Claus. Santa Claus, you get it? That was a funny comedic joke. Let's read this together. You probably know about sentences. So a sentence is a building block of writing, but speaking is not necessarily always the same as writing. I do recommend you to think about speaking and writing in similar ways, but yes, they are completely different. Speaking and writing have very different rules. As much as I recommend you to follow the rules of writing in your speaking, it's actually not necessary, and sometimes it can make your speaking worse. For example, here's a written sentence. I visited Santander, which is not a very pretty city due to a fire that burned it in 1941. So when we speak, we tend to break our speech into smaller units that are easier to use and remember, and these are called clauses. Here's how this would look in spoken English. I visited Santander. It's not a very pretty city because there was a fire that destroyed it in 1941. Another way that you can look at it is each of these sentences is a sentence by itself. And in general, it's like all of the ideas that create this sentence, right? So you have number one, I visited Santander. Let's make that like this. I visited Santander. Like this. That's idea number one, which is not a very pretty city. Pretty city. Because there was a fire. A fire that destroyed it in 1941. So here are all of the ideas, except it's like each idea is separate. And the word that and the word which are actually different rules. This is not what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about due to and different kinds of conjunctions, specifically compound conjunctions. We're going to be talking about that. And for that, first we need to talk about clauses. So what is a clause? Each of these is a clause, and this is a sentence which has more than one clause. And there's a lot of sentences that do this, and we're going to be, as I said, talking about that. So let's get to it. Sorry. Let me get some water. Asu. Drink Asu, the sponsor of today's lesson. Okay. So, clauses. What is a clause? A clause is kind of like a building block of sentences. If sentences are the blocks that make up English or make up any language, clauses are the things that make sentences into more complex ideas. So say you have an idea like, I drink water. And then you have another idea, asu, right? I drink asu. So these two ideas are not really connected. I drink water, I like asu. They're similar, but they're not necessarily connected. So let's make them connected. I like water, so I drink asu. That word so is called a, here we go. It's called a conjunction. Specifically, it's called a subordinating conjunction. Let me write that down. Subordinating. Sorry, I lied to you. It's called coordinating. Coordinating. Yeah, it's called a coordinating conjunction. And there are 7 of them. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And one way that you can organize them to remember every single one of them is fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And all of these follow the same rules. And you can use these basically to connect sentence clauses one after another. And the rules for these are very simple. Let me tell you why the rules are actually so simple, because the sentences have the same meaning and the same value in the sentence. So I like asu. Sorry, yeah. I drink asu has the same amount of information, has the same importance as I drink water. I like asu is like a constant. It is like a fact about me, and I drink water is also a fact about me. It's like one kind of hobby that I have, right? It's hobby, one kind of habit that I have. And whenever you have a sentence that connects both of these, I drink water and I like asu, by having the word and or by having the word so, any of these words, these two have the same value in the sentence. You can separate them and they still have the same value. If you have a different word, for example, the word because. Because is not a coordinating conjunction because it's not fanboys. It is a subordinating conjunction. If you do this, one of the sentences, one of the parts of the sentence stops being as important. It becomes the reason. And the reason cannot live by itself without the thing that it's like, the reason for, right? So because I like water, I drink asu. I drink asu is what's happening. This is the main part of the sentence. And because I like water is the reason. But now it is not as important. You cannot say because I like water, like as a sentence by itself, because it's a subordinating clause. Because it's a dependent clause. So there's two types of clauses, dependent, independent. Dependent clauses have subordinating conjunctions, coordinating, and independent clauses have subordinating conjunctions. Coordinating, difficult words. I'm sorry, lesson at 8:50. Basically, for and nor, but or yet so. They are coordinating conjunctions. They are used in independent clauses. These are clauses that can be by themselves. I drink asu. Whereas the other ones, the subordinating, because although, is there a list here? There is no list here. We will talk about this next lesson. Because although, due to all these kinds of phrases, all these words, they're also conjunctions. They are used in complex sentences. So there's a difference, complex and compound sentences. Basically, you can use coordinating conjunctions to create sentences like this. I live in Spain, and I like it very much, but the weather is a bit too hot. So together, the sentence looks a bit like this, right? This is a pretty good sentence. It's perfectly fine, and you can continue adding them as many times as you want, as long as the meaning is still the same. You don't always have to, but like I'm just saying that technically you can. So yeah, that is the grammar explanation for today. Basically, this is like the beginning. All you need to know is that clauses contain a subject and a verb. Those are the two main important things. Every single clause has it. It doesn't matter what it is. And yeah, today we've only talked about compound sentences. Next lesson, as far as I remember, we're going to be talking about complex sentences and all the different like grammar rules to do with that. So yeah, that's it for the grammar explanation. Pretty simple. Clauses have a subject and a verb. Let's get to the feedback for today. Give me one moment. Sorry. Okay, so today we have my teeth. Today we have. First of all, Saida, please. Here, let's do it like we did it last time. Last time it was great. Okay, Saida, Sanat, Rajabi, Nafisa, Barat, Muzaffar, Giyoso Oghla, Alisher, Dilshod Namazov, Farida, Rustamova Umida. All of you, please raise your hands right now. Okay. I'm going to unmute all of you, pause, and then we'll be doing the thing afterwards. Okay, so here we go. Saida, Rustamova Umida, Farida, Nafisa, Barat. Also Rabia. And Dilshad Namazov, my bro. Okay, cool. So one, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, so there should be 6 people right now. Let me check once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay, let's do it. So the first person is going to be Saida. Please say hi if you can hear me, Saida.
Hello.
Would you like a part 1 or a part 3 question?
Part 1?
Okay, I'm going to give you a question in a second. Here's the vocab that you can use. Okay. If it's loading. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. Okay, here's a question. What's the weather like in your country?
I must say that we are living in Uzbekistan, and Uzbekistan has an extreme continental climate. It is hot in the summer because it is 45 degrees above zero, and I must say it is extremely hot. And in winter, we have mild winter. So.
Oh my god. Okay, first of all, you sound like a news forecast. Like I thought I was listening to BBC or something. Oh my god, girl. Damn. A great intonation, great vocabulary. I must say that I must say extreme continental. That's literally like that's not even an academic term. That's like a weather forecast term. As far as I remember, like that's what you learn like in science and like I don't know, 7th grade whenever they tell you like the different types of climates. Like what?
Yeah,
what? Girl?
We had some lessons in school about the weather, and we are every day discussing the weather, because we had also a lesson about the weather in the USA, and we tried to explain it.
Awesome. That is really cool. Well, I can hear that for sure. If I was to give you some feedback, unfortunately, I couldn't hear your part 3. I feel like I could see some of your mistakes a bit more in part 3. But if I was to say something like how you could improve, try to be a bit more theatrical in your answers. So I can hear that intonation and that emotion in your answers, but I don't see the fact that you understand how smart you are. So this is kind of important. This is at your level, this is already like the next level. Not the next level, the next level. So what you do is like whenever you're using words like extreme continental, whenever you use that word, don't just use it by itself and like leave it and act like it's just there. You have to use it and then show the level of that. So you have to say like, yeah, in Uzbekistan the weather is quite warm. Actually, as compared to other countries on the I forgot what the topic is. I think it's like different climates. How do you call that? The climate scale? Is there a name for it?
Continental climate. Continent.
No. I mean, I know that it's continental, but what is the name like of all of the categories? Wait, 1 second. Continental climate. Give me a second. Do. Okay, so it's just a type of climate. Yeah. It's a descriptive term that this. Okay. Yeah. So okay, here's how I would use this if I was you. I would say something along the lines of because it is in the Middle East. Sorry, no, not Middle East. Middle East? Is Tashkent in the Middle East? Uzbekistan is the Middle East, right?
In the middle of Asia.
Yeah, middle of Asia. Let's actually check that. There's a lot of vocab that we could be using. Middle is Uzbekistan. Central Asia. Sorry, not Middle East, Central Asia. That I always confuse those two. Yeah, so you could say something along the lines of, because Uzbekistan is in Central Asia and the climate is not that, and the weather is like this, we have a continental climate. And so it's like you have that gradation of you start with something general and then you become more and more specific. And then as you become more specific, the examiner begins to understand like, wow, this girl is a genius. And that's how you do it. That's how you really get that. Like, yeah. And whenever you say like continental climate, you should enunciate that with your voice very, very clearly. But otherwise, great job, Saida. Sorry, your feedback was like 2 hours. Yeah, you did a great job. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be, Nafisa, please unmute yourself and say hi.
Hi.
Would you like a part 1 or part 3?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I will ask you a part 3. Okay, so here's your question. Do you think the weather is changing due to global warming?
Yeah, I can say yes. Global warming is one of the most important reason for weather changing. I think because of global warming in the world, the weather is becoming warmer. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Ending, work a bit on your ending because you had a good start and you were talking quite well. Weather pronunciation, and I think work a little bit more on your academic vocab. Yeah, academic vocab is probably your weakest area. Your pronunciation, other than the word weather, is mainly fine, and your fluency is also pretty good. Yeah. Thank you, Nafisa.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Sometimes I have words enough, I mean vocabulary, but I cannot use in my speaking them. I mean, and they are passive vocabulary.
Practice speaking with specific words that you need to use. Like make a list of words that you will use whenever you're practicing. And then by doing that, by actually using them, you will learn how to use them. Number one. Number two, get a good teacher who can hear you like all the time, constantly. And if you make mistakes, they will correct you.
Thank you.
Or a speaking partner. That's also good. Thank you, Nafisa. Have a great day. All right, let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be. The next person is Muzaffar Giosorle. Unmute yourself, please. Say hi if you can hear me. Are you okay? Say hi. I can't hear you. Say hi right now. Muzaffar, if you can hear me, please say hello. You unmute yourself.
Hello.
You don't say anything. Yes, fine. I hear you. Okay, perfect. Would you like a part 1 or part 3?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, here's a part 3 question. Do you think the weather affects how people feel?
Oh, yes, of course. For example, imagine in some places like A, B, C, where the weather constantly the same, people's character and personality also, I think, different from other places like X, Y, Z, and in these places, weather changes a lot. For example, as far as I'm concerned, in some places with a hot climate, like a boiling hot, sweltering weather, the people's character or temperament or their personality, lifestyle, probably different from other places where the weather much more colder than above mentioned places. So I think it's different, and weather, in fact, has an influence on people's mood and character, personality. Thank you.
Okay, really good fluency, and I love the structure of your answer. You started by saying imagine, and then you said, places A, B, C, places X, Y, Z. I am not sure about the A, B, C, X, Y, Z. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea, and it's cool. I don't know if you read it online or you just came up with it, but it's interesting, but I'm not sure whether I would use it personally. So I'm not going to say that it's a mistake, but it's just not something I would say. I would probably say something along the lines of some places along the region of, something, South America, the East Asia, Central Asia, something. Like if you're talking about hot places that are hot, or like if you're talking about a place where the weather doesn't change, say something specifically like that. It's an interesting idea to just say ABC, XYZ, but I'm not sure whether I would do that. Number one. Number two, as far as I'm concerned, that's your only grammar mistake. And also great vocab, sweltering, temperament, and character. You need to work on your pronunciation for the words for those words, all three of them, you made pronunciation mistakes, but using them is amazing. That was great. In general, really nice. You're doing great, but just work a bit on how like smooth everything is, right? In terms of pronunciation, these ideas like XYZ, ABC. As I said, interesting idea. I'm not sure I would use it personally. Yeah, thank you so much. That was cool. That was cool. Yeah, awesome. Good answer. Thank you. All right, have a great day. Oh, okay, let's move on to the next person. Past is history. Future is a mystery. And the present is a gift. What? No. And the now is a gift. That's why they call it the present. I love Kung Fu Panda. Okay, let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be... Oh, by the way, temperament is pronounced temperament. So temperament. Yeah. Okay, next person is going to be Dilshad Namazov. Please say hi if you can hear me. Unmute yourself.
Hi.
Yo, would you like a part 1 or part 3?
Part 1 will be much better.
Okay. Here's your question. Which months have the best weather in your country? Which months have the best weather in your country, Dilshad?
Yes, I think every month is the beautiful. I think it much more depends on the person's personality. For example, some people like, for example, March or June. Yes, I think it much more depends on the person's personality, and this is some kind of interesting question.
Okay, is that it?
I think yes.
Okay, I like your structure. You say, I think this is an interesting question at the end after you already answered. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, in general, great way to answer the question. Like you're moving away from it. Like you're saying, well, that's interesting. I'm not really sure. I think it depends on the person. Great, but you should still at least say something a little bit specific. Like, for example, you could say like, for me, my favorite months are da-da-da-da-da because da-da-da-da-da. And then that gives like this understanding like, oh, he knows what he's talking about and everything is like perfect. But if you are just like, if you give only a general answer and then at the end you say, this question is interesting, it just sounds like a little bit strange. By the way, Nargiza S, please don't leave. I'm going to give you feedback as well because you were supposed to be here yesterday. I'm going to unmute you. Just don't say anything. Okay. Anyway, yeah. 2 times you said it depends on a person's personality. Like, find some synonyms for that. And in general, like, don't repeat that same idea 2 times. There's a lot of other things you could say. You could say something like, people that like sports probably enjoy, months from May until September because of how warm it is. Whereas people that like to travel, no, I don't know, just whatever, some months. Like, give some examples. Specific examples would make your answer much better. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dilshad. Let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be. Okay. Nargiza S, since I just unmuted you, please say hi.
Hi.
Nargiza S. Would you like a part 1 or part 3?
I think part 1.
Okay. Here is the question. What is the weather like in your country?
The weather in my country, we are very lucky. We have the fourth season our in our country in 1 year. It's actually very cold in the winter, very hot, boiling hot in the summer, and in the spring it's very rainy, heavy rainy days we have, and we actually can be. I think that it's a very good weather in our country, all seasons.
Okay, cool. Here's what I think you could improve. Like one really big thing. 2 times you said the weather is like this, heavy rain, or it's like this, boiling temperature. Like you just added at the end as if you made a mistake and you're correcting yourself. Instead of doing that, here's how I recommend you to do it. You should add adjective and adjective. So for example, the weather is, hot and boiling, for example. And that would actually improve your score rather than making you sound unconfident. It's like you sound like you're making a mistake when actually you're not. You're just adding more vocab. So I'd say that's the biggest thing. That's number 1. And number 2 would be work a little bit on conjunctions. I think you should have a bit more conjunctions. I didn't hear in your speech enough like therefore and stuff like that. I think you said because like once. But add a little bit more of that, and that would be good. Yeah. Thank you, Nargiza.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be. By the way, Alisher Barat and Sanat Rajabi, if you're here, please raise your hands. Farida, please unmute yourself and say hello. Yo. Would you like a part 1 or part 3?
You can give me any of them.
Any of them. Okay. I will give you any of them. Here's your question. Do you think the weather is changing due to global warming?
I think that global warming is impacting on the weather because in the past, if I recall the past, the weather was normal, but now it tends to be sweltering in summer, and even in my country in winter, it is warm. And I do believe that global warming and climate change is influencing on the weather.
Okay. Really nice. Like your answer is very smooth and it's very I like it, but the problem is it's a part 3 answer. You need to go deeper, you need to speak for longer, and you didn't have enough ideas for part 3 answer. But it was if I look at it as just an answer, right, without the fact that it should be part 3, great vocab. Recall tends to be sweltering. Sweltering is a great word, by the way, just for everybody that's listening. Sweltering means incredibly hot. Yeah. 1 grammar mistake, which was impacting on the weather. Whenever you're talking about the weather, you can just say impacting the weather. Yeah. Honestly, not that much feedback other than it's not long enough. That's the main thing. Add more ideas, make it deeper. The structures from one of the last lessons are really good because you have at least 4 sentences. Here, I don't think I heard 4 sentences. I heard 3, maybe 4 sentences, but they're all very short. Yeah. So thank you, Farida.
Thank you so much.
Let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be. To be or not to be. Next person will be. Sanat Rajabi. Please say hi if you can hear me. Sanat Rajabi. Hello. Guys, he fell asleep. That's so sad. Can we please cry for Sanat Rajabi? Okay, next person is going to be Rustam Umida. Sanat Rajabi, I'll put you on the next lesson. Umida, please say hi if you can hear me.
Hi, Alex.
Would you like a part 1 or part 3?
It's up to you.
Okay, I will give you a part 3 because I want to bully you. Here is your part 3. In which ways are weather forecasts useful?
In my opinion, when you want to go to another country or you have a special meeting or something, you can just look through the weather forecast and you know before the day what you are expected tomorrow. And according to this information, according to that weather forecast, you can plan your day or you can change your ideas. I think that's it.
Okay. According to, great vocab. You made a couple grammatical mistakes. It's like you have really good sentences and they're very fluid, and I love your pauses. Your intonation and cadence are perfect. It's like sentence pause, sentence pause, sentence pause. Exactly the way you should be speaking, but your sentences have a couple mistakes here and there. Change your ideas. I understand what you're talking about when you say ideas, but I don't think that's the
mind.
Change like what you're going to do. Yes, I understand what you said, but like it just doesn't really make sense. Change your ideas is kind of strange. And also, you learn, I think. What did I write? You know before the day. Yeah, you know before the day. It just sounds a bit strange. I understand, again, as I said, I understand what you're trying to say, but it just sounds a bit strange. But remember, fluency is more important than grammar, so overall you're doing great. Yeah. So, yeah, work mainly on like grammar, like make sentences a little bit more understandable, work a bit on adding more academic vocab because your topic-related vocab is pretty good. In general, you're answering pretty well. Yeah. Topic vocab and plus sentence structure. Thank you, Umida. Great job.
Please, I have a question.
What's up?
When I went to mock exams, they always told me that I should use different kind of grammar structures, and I used simple structures. What should I do to use different kind of grammar structures in my speech?
Well, actually, I don't really agree with them. I mean, from what I'm hearing right now, you're speaking quite fluently and with different structures. Here's what I'd recommend. Tomorrow, we actually have a lesson about this, specifically about different grammar structures. So just come to the lesson tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow, I'm going to be explaining more. Thank you so much, Umida. And thank you to everybody. Sanat Rajabi, as I said, you are going to get your feedback tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here, but we don't really have time anymore. Yeah. Everybody, Nafisa Rustamova, are you also? No, it's for another. Man, difficult. Okay, so listen, everybody, you guys. What I want to say is, what do I want to say? I forgot. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to see you all in my next course, which is going to be on the 10th, starting on the 10th of September. And on the 2nd, there's going to be a demo lesson with the same structure as in the course. The structure is a little bit different from this course, so I recommend you all to come. And the course was created using your guys' feedback. The things that you guys told me you want to see changed, we took that into consideration. We thought about it. So I recommend all of you to be there, at least for the demo lesson, see how it goes. And for you guys that paid for this course, you'll be getting a discount on the next course. So yeah, excited to see you guys there. Excited for the next course. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you all so much. Bye. I'll send the homework pretty soon. Good night. See you guys.